Man, my hair is wonky today. Hey, what's happening, everybody? Rich from Sticky's RC. Today is episode number one of the Shit That Needs to Be Said show, and super stoked to be announcing my guest host for the show, none other, none other than Mr. Justin Brown, BSRC. Woohoo!
Ooh,
First
I'm,
show,
I'm excited to
official
be here.
show. Man, it is nice to be having a show again where it's not just me rambling on for.
You don't like talking to yourself for an hour?
I mean, I do a lot of talking to myself because it gets kind of lonely out here in the office, but it is nice to have somebody to chat with.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we are going to kick off this show, first episode, and we're going to be talking about something that I told Justin a couple days ago. I wanted to make a video about this particular subject for a couple years. I'm glad I didn't, because I figured out recently-ish that I kind of been doing it all wrong, and it's probably the same thing that everybody does, and that is freaking RC backpacks. How much crap we're carrying around in our backpack that we really don't need to carry around. How much, how big, how much space, how much weight you carry around in your backpack when you don't need it. When it's 95 degrees outside, obviously you don't need to be carrying around a winter coat with you. It's nice to have some water, but you don't necessarily need to carry around a gallon of water with you if you're going to be walking around for an hour. You probably get away with maybe a smaller bottle. NorCal, brother, good to see you. Coach D, good to see you, my friend. Thank you guys for coming in and hanging out in the first official episode of the show. But yeah, the one thing I know from my own experience was carrying around a bunch of spare parts that I'm not going to fix. I'm just simply not going to do that kind of repair when I'm out on the trail. If you got a broken servo, you got a broken servo horn, something like that, that's a pretty easy, you have 3 or 4 screws, you replace it, you go back to having fun. But I mean, if you break if you break something serious, it might take you an hour to fix it when you're at home. It's probably going to take you 2 when you're out on the trail, because you're not going to have the right tools. You're probably not carrying around your electric screw gun, or maybe you are carrying around an electric screw gun. Mr. Gibbs, it's good to see you.
Kevin Gibbs.
I think the idea of having a backpack that has all of this stuff in it, where you just grab the backpack and go, it's kind of not it.
Well, it's a handy idea, but it's like how much do you take with you? That's the thing. Do you take 45 pounds of gear with you every time you walk out the door? Or, it's like I said, do I need this book on berries and foraging? Am I going to be out that long? Or is this just a day excursion? You know what I mean?
There are even times when it wasn't even a day excursion for me. I was literally going out crawling, and I was never going to be more than 50 feet from my truck.
So what are you doing with that backpack on your back, bro?
Truck, and I'm literally carrying around a backpack that I weighed the last time I went out, when I figured out, because I was suffering from heat exhaustion. And I came home, I weighed my backpack 28 pounds without the RC car attached to the bag.
He's carrying an X6 on his back.
And yeah, it to me, it was it just like slapped me in the face. Like, why? And I'm going through my bag. I'm like, why am I carrying all this? As a YouTuber, and you are also a YouTuber,
Sometimes.
how many GoPros would you take with you when you would go filming?
Honestly, that's just one of those things. Like, it got to be where, how much are we using today? How much? And what I found out is like, I left the other GoPros in my backpack 90% of the time. So
Yeah,
why, it got to be, yeah, a GoPro and a selfie stick was all I needed.
yeah.
So why am I carrying around, my Karma drone and my gimbal stick and two other cameras and my ND filters, and it's like,
I'm doing the same thing. Like I got accustomed to when I went to the races. Now, going to the races is obviously a different. It's a different deal because you're going to be going there and spending a fair amount of time, and you never know what's going to happen. So you bring the kitchen sink, or at least that's what I did. I brought the kitchen sink with me.
it's good to be prepared, right?
Yeah, for anything. I could at the racetrack. I
For
could
anything.
completely rebuild my car from the ground up. That's the thought process that I took with me going out on the trail. I have to bring the kitchen sink. And I'm carrying around 3 GoPros. I'm carrying around an extra cage for one of those GoPros. Um, 3 different sets of ND filters because each GoPro cage has its own size of connector, 30, 32, and 48 millimeters. So I got to have ND filters for all of those. That in and of itself was just, I'd open up my little camera compartment. It's actually an extra separate little box that slides in that I stick inside my backpack. But I would open up, it was just jam packed with stuff. An extra little tiny. I don't have it. It's the little GoPro handle that has the tripod on it.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever used it, but I carry it around in my backpack.
Well, someday you might need it.
Um, I know at one point in the beginning, um, I had chassis rails. I would carry around a spare set of chassis rails in my backpack.
I mean, I saw Kevin said he'd pull a trailer of crap behind his chair if he could. It's like,
I couldn't even, I didn't even realize at the time, because I only did it a few times in the very beginning. I didn't realize at the time, like, if I bend a chassis rail on a crawler, there's probably like catastrophic damage there. It takes a pretty good wallop
right.
to twist your chassis up. And
I mean, are you seriously
am I going to tear it all down and replace the chassis rail that's bent on top of all the other things that are probably broken? Or am I just going to slap the thing on my back and like, hey guys, I'm calling it a day. I wrecked my rig. I'm done. JM, good to see you, my friend. Thank you for joining.
JM.
It is, yes, episode 1. And we're diving right in on the backpack thing, because me personally, I have for the last couple of weeks now, I have been looking into RC backpacks specifically. There's basically 4. Carryall, Proline's got one. It's just a backpack. It's not really an RC backpack. J Concepts and ProTech.
Be careful we don't offend anybody here now.
That's the point of this show, is to have open and honest discussion. And if we're going to hurt some feelings, we're going to hurt some feelings, and somebody might be offended. But yeah, ProTech, if you don't know, ProTech is A-Main's own brand. Now, the ProTech and the J Concepts bag are basically a backpack with just a big space where you can stick your car inside of it. kind of a nifty idea. If you got a dirty ass car, you don't want to get the inside of your real car dirty. You put it inside your backpack and away you go. But it doesn't leave much room for much else for you to carry around, especially the ProTech one. Really doesn't have anything at all except for the pouch and a little slot to like stick your tool pouch in.
Okay. All right.
J Concepts got a big pouch. The whole thing zippers open. Then they got a couple little pockets around the outside. Pretty okay. Proline's bag, like I said, it's just a backpack. You wouldn't be able to fit a car inside of it. You would be able to put some straps on there and obviously carry a car in the outside of it, but it's predominantly so you just carry your crap around. Oh, good morning, all RC fun, and good morning, Robert, brother from the Arctic.
I like this NorCal ProTech is amen overpriced BS.
Yeah, most of the ProTech stuff is a bit on the pricey side.
I think that was one of the things we wanted to touch on was, how much should you spend on one of these things, and who's telling you to buy one of these things for Christ's sake,
Well, and the big one, the big one that most people have gotten the most stink over is Carryall. And I have a Carryall version 1. I did not bother to go and buy the second one. I didn't bother to go get one of their sling packs. But the idea behind the RC Carryall bag is a novel idea because you get your backpack and then you got this cool little strappy system that holds your car on. The strappy system, as an engineer, when I look at the strap system, I see there's a couple of things that could have been done differently, which would have maximized how you carry your rig and how to get it to sit higher up on your back. Because my biggest problem with mine was my car hung way down. And, depending on the car, depending how heavy it was, depending on how far it hung down, and it's constantly, hitting me in the back of the legs as I'm trying to walk. So it was kind of uncomfortable to carry the car like that.
Right.
Yeah, Kevin Gibbs, skateboard backpack.
I saw, yeah. Saw that.
ProTech servo. In NorCal, I have a ProTech servo in my race buggy, and it is the high torque. I want to say it's either the 130 or the 160, and it's a damn good servo. It was about $130. I've never had to rebuild it. But I could totally see $99 for a rebuild kit. But that is, I know, like Reefs, Savox, who are the other guys? They're all basically the same. Their rebuild kits are. It's almost cheaper to just go buy another servo.
I've never rebuilt a servo myself.
I rebuilt one Raw 500 because I literally rolled a rig down the hill, and since crawlers, we never run servo savers on there.
Yeah.
It was bouncing and flexing, and it just stripped all the teeth off.
Oh, wow.
So, and that was a Raw 500, and the rebuild kit, I think, was $79. But it's still, more than half of what I paid for the servo originally.
Servo Tingent.
Yeah. Yeah, Kevin, I am a huge fan of Amazon servos. And I was telling Justin recently, the one that I have in my Phoenix is this BETU from Amazon, 45 kg. It's all aluminum. It's waterproof. So far it's working great. And yeah, $50. A little bit pricey for an Amazon servo, but it's still pretty good.
Barbecue.
Good morning, sir. But yeah, the backpack thing, to me, I think it's something that just needs to be brought up because
Well, I just feel like we're being force fed something, that we really don't need. To be
and
quite honest.
the idea behind it is sound. Okay, I got a backpack and I don't want to be constantly putting stuff in and out of my RC backpack because I'm a millennial and I have the attention span of a Q-tip and I can't be bothered. I just need my go bag to grab and go. Nobody does that. Big Head RC, it's good to see you.
Well,
I don't think anybody that's been doing this a while just grabs their backpack and goes. I mean,
well, normally I put a Lunchable inside first.
Yeah,
but I mean, that's just me.
Well, I had I don't have it anymore, but it's essentially it's basically the same thing as this. It's just a little Camelback coffee mug, and I would put Gatorade in this, and I always stuck it in my backpack. The wrong part about having the go bag, where if you don't open your backpack, you don't do anything with it when you go out crawling, you typically will just come back and set it on the floor or hang it on a hook. Camera's back, really? Yeah, on a hook.
There's one here somewhere. Hold on, I got it. Oh, there's one.
Forget about it. And the bad part is if you leave that Gatorade in there, let's say you don't go anywhere for a week and you leave that Gatorade in there for a week, it gets kind of funky.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you how good that Lunchable is after a week.
It's nothing like cracking open that canister after there's some fungus grown in there. And go, hey, look at that. I'm making my own Gatorade wine.
I didn't know Lunchables had green eggs and ham. Wait, that's eggs? Oh, my.
But yeah, I mean, you're gonna look and deal with your bag whenever you go out. It's like I was saying earlier, if it's 95 degrees outside, I'm not going to be carrying an extra winter layer in my backpack. It's just silly because I'm carrying around something I'm not going to need or use, and
like we talked about, it's a situation on a kind of a day-to-day basis. It's what are we doing today, and how much do I need with me today?
Yep.
And the fact of the matter is, I feel like we're kind of being sold on that we need to take everything that's possible with us.
It's the zombie apocalypse mentality.
And
I was talking to my friend in California that it's, he carries around this ridiculous survival kit in his car, and he drives, typical California. He drives about 45 minutes to an hour one way to work every day, but he carries this. It's a ridiculous survival kit that he carries with him. What if I get stuck in my car? God, dude, you live in California, number one, so what's going to happen if you get stuck in your car? You pull a chair out, sit outside, get a tan. You're not going to be very far away from something, and B, look, the zombie apocalypse is a fun thing, but it's not going to happen. Zombies don't exist. It's just something silly. So you don't need to carry around a crossbow in your car for the zombie apocalypse, just like you don't need to carry around extra chassis rails for your rig.
Kevin over here, I do keep a flask in my backpack, but that liquid doesn't go bad.
Amen to that. But yeah, it just
will it freeze? You talk about that. I mean, we'll just touch on that for just a second. I mean, I live in an area where today, here in the valley, it could get to, 95 degrees, but then I can go up on top of a mountain and be, 30 degrees cooler. So having some things with me is handy. But am I actually gonna be that far away from my vehicle or, whatever? How much do I really need to carry on my back with me? And does it need to be as much as a bag of cat litter all the fucking time? And if it is, then how am I gonna feel at the end of the day when I carry that? You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I think these companies, these backpack companies, they're really trying to sell us on the fact that we should just shove everything we can in here. and take off.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's this kind of zombie apocalypse mentality that, I have to carry the kitchen sink with me all the time because I have to be prepared for anything. It's like,
Got a whole soldering station in here.
Yeah, okay. I mean, if you have to be prepared for everything, then use your carry system for your RC to just carry a spare rig. Don't even bother carrying any tools around with you. Just slap a battery in a separate rig. If you have a radio where you can have multiple rigs on there, you only need one radio. But if you have a car that's on a separate radio, then stick the radio in your backpack, stick the car in the backpack, carry some water, and away you go. If something happens to one car, you just put that one in the backpack, take the other one, and go. Kevin, see, I have only carried like 2 rigs with me when I know I'm going someplace where I'm going to be filming, and it, like, a lot of times it was always someplace that was super accessible, and I was going to do filming to get several videos worth of footage out of it. So I would take 2 cars to the same place so that I could film them separately and basically make 2 or 3 videos out of it. For the folks that like to, that are really hard on their vehicles, yeah, you might need to bring a second rig. I bring 3 and bring home 1.5.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's how it always happens, though, really. I mean, especially if you're bashing.
Yeah. Bashing is a whole different story.
But, as for crawlers and the way I like to film, I mean, I suppose I bring 2 rigs with me. Just, it just kind of depends. If I got 2 rigs running, for that matter.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I can, I bring 2 rigs with me, or a friend who's got a couple rigs if I'm really into the filming side. But I try not to bring a lot. It's like Kevin, I'm sure Kevin understands, but like I've talked to you about before, I live in pain. I got fibromyalgia. I hurt every day. So yeah, I'm not carrying around 30 pounds with me everywhere I go. It's not happening.
Well, and I know me personally, starting in August and September of last year, I was having a lot of problems with my knees. And that was about the time that I figured out that I was carrying too much crap. My wife and I and my daughter went to, it was like a pretty short 1.5 mile little hike up to a waterfall. And I took a rig with me. I carried the rig in because I wasn't sure about the initial hike in. And the goal was that I was going to film at the waterfall. So it was like, okay, I'm just going to carry it with me so that I'm not using up battery juice and all of that. And then when I get there, I can take everything off. I can drive around, and then I can drive it on the way out. On the way in, it was, kind of a typical Tennessee summer, afternoon. It was about 93 degrees outside. It was probably 90% humidity. And I got about 3/4 of a mile in, and I had to stop and catch my breath. And, I was struggling with the heat. And my wife was like, hey, let me carry something for you. And I was like, no, it's all self-contained. So you'd have to just carry the backpack. And she was like, well, at least take the backpack off and, sit here for a minute and have a drink. And there's a nice little creek going there. So I took it off, set it down on the ground. My wife went over there and picked it up. And she was like, why are you carrying this? And yeah, I finished. We went up there. I did some filming, and I put everything. I drove the thing back. And when I got home, I took out the scale and I put the backpack on there without my radio, without my car, and I was carrying around 28 pounds. And the very next day, I had my backpack on the bench and I just started pulling stuff out. Okay, why do I had 2 flashlights and a headlamp for a hat.
In case you got lost in the dark.
Yeah, when I'm walking around in the middle of the day in the summer. But it's if I get attacked by a mountain lion or a bear and I'm skitting night, I'm going to need a flashlight.
You're going to need those, yeah. Yeah.
Never mind the fact that, I'm probably going to be missing an arm or something like that.
It's like I said, I want a journal in my backpack. So, day 10, made solar panel out of bear skin to recharge my car. How much, like you said, how much do you really need with you today? It's just a matter of just kind of, thinking for just a moment. I know, yeah. I mean, yeah, you say millennials and head out the door, but I mean, it's one of those, come on, man, just use your head for just a minute and figure out what you need before you walk outside and kill yourself with 50 pounds of gear today.
Yeah.
And like we've touched on before, one of these companies definitely sells you on that, because I'm not going to say names or anything, but yeah, I mean, in order for you to wear their backpack the right way, it has to be full of gear.
Yeah.
It has to be full of gear. That's the way they want you to have it. And it's like, look, I physically can't carry that thing. You're out of your mind. I mean, even if I shoved it full of styrofoam, I'd be lucky to walk out of here with it. So,
Andy, welcome to the show. I have not seen Steel Creek Park. I'm actually not exactly sure where Steel Creek Park is, but I'm definitely going to I'm making a note of that because I definitely got to check that out.
28 pounds, that's excessive.
Yeah. And I mean, this is from my own experience in off-road racing and endurance racing. I was telling Justin the other day, when I race my motorcycle out in the desert, typically a typical leg for anybody on a dirt bike is going to be anywhere from 125 to maybe 200-mile stint. And I carried 3 wrenches, a folded up stack of duct tape, not a whole entire roll, a folded up stack so that I had probably 3 or 4 feet, a little tiny roll of this stuff called Mighty Fix-It tape, some water, usually, like a 20 ounce or a 16 ounce bottle of water, maybe 2, like a little teeny tiny first aid kit that had like a thing of gauze, some band-aids, and that was it. That's all I carried, because I'm not going to fix anything on the bike when I'm out there. If the bike breaks down, it breaks down. That's it. If it's not something that I can fix with the fix-it tape or the duct tape, and if it's not something that I can get to with the 8mm, 10mm, or a 12mm wrench, I'm not going to fix it. If I was telling him, if I got a flat tire, I would ride for 100 miles on a flat tire. Screw the rim. I don't give a shit. It's a race. You're not here to save money. So you just flat tire, you keep on riding. Unless you literally can't ride the bike, you just keep going. And here I get into crawling, and that logic, I just throw it out the window. Like, oh no, I need to carry around 20 pounds of crap on my back because, what if I need to fix something?
I've crawled with guys who broke a link and kept crawling.
Yeah.
If it'll crawl, they just keep going. It just depends on what you break and where you break it. But I mean, yeah, for me, it's like I told Rich, I was like, it's going to be screws. I always mess this up. Screws, tools, camera, bottle of water. Just these 4 items, because if I'm carrying anything more than that, it's too much of a day already.
I agree, Kevin Gibbs. My first aid kit now is much more significant than what I used to carry. Number one, I have a snake bite kit, which 20 years of racing in the desert, never carried a snake bite kit. Never even thought to carry a snake bite kit. And, Mojave rattlesnakes in California they're everywhere. You can't spit and not freaking hit one. And yeah, but never did it. But I did recently, probably a year and a half or 2 years ago, I had a friend that got bit by a rattlesnake, and it kicked his ass. And he's a, big, strong, burly guy. And he was in the hospital for a week and a half, and it damn near killed him. And, they booked it out of there. they were at a hospital within probably an hour and a half or so, and yeah, I mean, it damn near killed them. So I was like, all right, Mojave rattlesnakes are bad, but there's a couple snakes here in Tennessee that are pretty nasty. So I decided, I'm going to get a snake bite kit. But yeah, I have something that I can make a splint with, but I went the route of I actually went to my sister, who is a mountaineering instructor for the Sierra Club, and I said, hey, if I'm going to beef up my first aid here, what do I need? And she set me up with, I went online to REI and I got like several things put in there. So A, it's lightweight, and B, it doesn't take up a lot of space, because that is like rule number one for going out. And
Snakes in California have 2 legs. Sorry, I had to read that.
Yeah, one of them lives in the governor's mansion. Oh,
we're gonna offend some.
Ugh. Yeah, my buddy Governor Newsom. That guy's a jackass. There's no other way to describe him. He's trying to make him and his cronies there in the government are trying to make an exit tax. So if you make millions and millions of dollars and you decide you don't want to live in California and pay all the crazy taxes because you're rich,
right?
They're going to make you pay an extra tax to leave.
Yeah. We're going to get you at the border.
It's like, wow. Barbecue, you may be right. But yeah, don't get me started on politics today.
Oh, boy.
It's only the first episode.
Yeah, this is just episode 1. We were trying to break you in slowly with backpacks, guys.
Yeah, I didn't want to go, full scorched earth here and just.
Oh boy! How to alienate your friends in an hour. Check this out.
Yeah. Episode number 1, which is the first and last episode.
Woo!
Yeah. Campaign manager's wife. Yep. Also nephew to former Speaker of the House. Friggin' Crypt Keeper Pelosi. But yeah, like I said, don't get me started, because there's so much. I could dedicate an entire 4-hour show every single day to talking about how crappy our government is. Just nonstop for 4 hours. I could go on and on and on. I bore the crap out of my wife.
It's supposed to stay RC related, but we will get off topic sooner or later, I'm sure.
Absolutely. That's what I've been saying. This show isn't just RC. It's gonna be other stuff. But today I'm trying to keep it reined in, because it's the first episode. Just easy.
We don't want to hurt you too bad on the first episode.
But I mean, backpacks is one of those. I've seen other people who make videos about the stuff that they carry in their backpacks, and like, if you're going to an event, this is what you should carry around in your backpack if you go to an event. And I think it's the guy from Hobby Wing,
and
actually made a video.
Yeah.
Like going to Axial Fest, what you should carry around in your backpack, like when you're going to an Axial Fest, which makes sense. If you're going to be going out, which most of the time at the events, you spend a fair amount of your time out on the trail. So it makes sense that you're going to carry around a lot of stuff with you. Probably not going to need to carry around some spare chassis rails, but you never know when you might come across somebody who's had a catastrophic crash and, needs that specific chassis rail as a replacement. But yeah, carry a servo. I have the Associated Factory Team tool. It has the three sizes hex drivers you need, and then it's got a 5mm and I think 7mm, and it all fits in the end cap of the handle.
Yep.
super nice, doesn't take that much space up, and that's the one. It's a fantastic tool. It's a bit on the pricey side, but it is a factory team, so you're gonna feel special busting that thing out. People are gonna be thinking you're all fancy and shit. You know, damn, you got the Bugatti of freaking tools.
Right.
But there aren't that many companies. I don't know if Reefs does the same thing. If his little multi tool does the same thing.
I think he's got one. I think there is one from Reef. Yeah.
But I know, like, you know, there's probably a handful of them out there that have it. But obviously, Associated being around for a long time, they made one that just you buy it, you have all the sizes you're ever going to need for your 10 scale crawler, and it's all nice and compact, and it fits nicely in a little pocket inside of the backpack. Me personally, I have the A-Main sells them. They call them their trail kegs, and it's just a plastic cup with a screw on top with it. But I like it personally. When you unscrew the top, it's got a little thing on the inside that you can screw, and I would put body clips in there, and then it comes with a magnet that you can glue inside of there, so the body clips stay on the magnet. I just like them because it's like Tupperware. It's nice to have everything in a nice little compact place, and I have one of those where I have all my tool stuff that I need in it, and then I have one where I have my spare parts.
Right.
Spare servo in there. I have a spare servo extension lead, and most of the time, it's because I'm terrible at wiring like my lights and stuff. So typically, the first thing I do when I get out of the truck to get ready is I'll take the body off, forgetting that I already attached the wires to the lights,
sure,
and I'll rip
them apart. Yep.
Yeah, and it's like, oh man, it's a good thing I have this little extension in there, because now I can just stick that back in there. I typically have a couple of rod ends. I know I have a couple of links, but the links are there just so that the rod ends are just flopping around loose in there. And yeah, I think as far as spare parts, that's all I carry. Anything beyond that, I'm not going to want to fix it. All my rigs have metal links, so now I'm not going to break a metal link. It's always going to be a rod end.
Yeah.
So, if I have a handful of rod ends, I know I'm going to be able to fix it.
Yeah. Thanks for the comment, Kevin.
Justin and I talk on the phone quite a bit. I mean, several times a week, and we have for quite some time. And we talked about doing this show. I mean, we've probably been talking about it for well over a month now.
Oh yeah,
before Christmas.
4 or 5 months now. I think we've been talking about doing the show.
Yeah, because I started just sort of a test run, doing the live, just so I could figure out if it was working, but if it would work and I could swing it just time wise. Yeah, I am totally stoked that we're doing this show, Mr. Gibbs, and I'm glad to see a whole bunch of familiar faces here. By the way, Andy did mention that place is in Bristol, so I'm definitely going to check that place out. Bristol's where my oldest daughter lives, and we go there fairly often. But that would be a good opportunity for me to take the wife and drop her off and let her hang out there and go find myself a little crawl spot, maybe do some filming.
Heck
yeah. Well, thank you, NorCal. Appreciate it.
Be careful. Hold on. I haven't offended you yet.
It's
and that's I want to get into the meat and potatoes of our subject, which is these backpacks, what were being sold, and what your choices are. You know what I'm saying? Like when we're talking $150, $130 a backpack, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can go down to Walmart and get myself a $20, $30 backpack in a nylon strap and make this work. Like, I don't understand. I mean, other than the cool Velcro patches and stuff, I'm like, what are you doing? And these companies, this is going to be the kicker. These companies that we're talking about here, aren't doing anything original. They're all just stealing ideas from people who have already made backpacks. You're just buying something that's slapped RC on the side of it for twice as much. And I'm like, ouch, why do we have to do this to each other in the RC community? Like, this is kind of rude.
Yeah.
One of these companies has been called out for actually taking these backpacks off Amazon and just modifying them. One of these companies has just taken clips from Amazon and made their own kit to sell you. So, like, what does that say of the integrity of these people behind these products as well?
And I mean, this is nothing. I mean, this is nothing new. Companies have been scavenging from other companies for a long time, and the backpack thing, when you take a basic backpack, it's a couple of straps and there's a compartment on it, and a majority of people, school backpacks, your I can't remember the name of them now, but the school backpacks that have been around forever. They're kind of pricey, but they're nice. It's not there's not a lot of thought that goes into them. Now, when you start getting into the actual hiking and actual climbing backpacks, and you see the difference, when you're talking about $150, like, really nice hiking backpack, it looks nothing like anything you typically see. Generally, what you see is it stacks up. They are generally very, very high. The bottom of the backpack is usually in the small of your back, and there's usually a big ass freaking strap that wraps around. And that works as not only a back support brace, but it's also, typically if you do a lot of walking, you do a lot of hiking, and you're doing, you can bounce your innards around a little bit. So it works a bit like a kidney belt and also a back brace. And the idea is the higher you put the stuff on your back, the less strain it's putting on your back and more on your shoulders, because that's what it's supposed to do. You're not supposed to carry around all this weight that is making you fall backwards. Every single RC backpack that's out there is designed like that, like a school book bag, which is meant to carry around 10 or 15 pounds, and it's meant to be carried around by a kid or a teenager who at that point is still made out of magic and rubber. You're not worried about your back at that point. I'm 50 years old. I don't worry about my back. So I walk around with this backpack where my car's hanging down and it's slapping me in the back of the legs the whole time. And I get home and my back hurts, and it's like, man, well, no shit. And that was something my sister told me. It's like, yeah, you're carrying around way too much crap with you for walking around for a couple hours. And B, you're carrying it around all wrong. Even, when you talk about these, the backpacks for the military and the stuff that those guys carry. I mean, a military pack, you're going to be carrying 40 or 60 pounds around. They're crappy ass backpacks. Let's not forget that the whole entire idea behind everything the federal government does is whoever is supplying them was the lowest bidder.
Ouch.
They have a bunch of crap that they call them mil specs, and mil specs is basically where they over design the shit out of everything. So if you need a backpack they're going to force you to design or make a backpack where the straps can hold 60 pounds of shit hanging on your shoulders, and it's got to be thick enough where 60 pounds of crap will be enough while you're rolling around in the dirt and freaking bullets are flying and all of that crap. But nobody actually pays attention to, hey, is the design of this backpack actually, again, it's young, strong soldiers who can carry around all this weight, but when you're 50 years old, your back is ruined because you've done it wrong all this time. My sister is 4 years older than I am, and she's an absolute machine. Mount Whitney, Mount Kilimanjaro. This chick is running around all over the place, climbing freaking mountains and hiking, and she's a freaking nutcase.
S.B. Thompson RC joined us there.
But she doesn't really have back problems because she's done it right. She's never gotten this idea of, you need to be carrying around 60 pounds of crap with you.
Right.
She has always had the mentality of, I'm only going to carry what I need, and what I do need, I'm going to make sure that it is the lightest and smallest possible so that it takes the least amount of space and weighs the least amount so that I'm not needlessly carrying around 30 pounds, 40 pounds of stuff with me. I'm carrying around that much weight because I need all of that, 10 pounds of food. But it's not going to be 10 pounds of Lunchables. It's going to be 10 pounds of like protein bars and whatnot. So that, you take 3 bites of it and you carry on for a couple hours.
Right.
And, it's, see, Kevin Gibbs, that's the way it should be. Something I've been preaching about since I started doing this show is the cost. And how, we're getting constantly freaking hammered from every direction possible with, the supply chain means that it's going to cost more money. Inflation is going to cost more money. Yet the same guy that'll sit there and tell you that will turn around and report, if he's a public company, he'll report, we had record profits this year. Or, we're coming out with a second version of our product because our first one did so well. We've made it better. Great. Evolving of products is great. But if you're going to jack the price up on it because of inflation, because of supply chain and whatnot, and then you're going to turn around and say, well, we've done so well, we've been able to take the time to evolve our product into something else. Well, then are you really suffering that much? I mean, come on, Horizon. I'm calling Horizon out because
here we go.
They're the big kids on the block. They are the big kids on them and Traxxas. Now, Traxxas, I don't really see Traxxas jacking their prices up right now. Traxxas just kind of holding steady. Every time I turn around, Horizon's got, we got increased price because of supply chain from China. And we got, the cobalt mine in Africa where the 8-year-old kids are out there mining all of our electronic stuff. They got backed up because there was a friggin' sandstorm for 2 days. So production went down, and then a truck broke down on its way to China. So all these things cost more money. So we have to pass that along to you, our faithful consumer. But, by the way, last year we had record profits. We gave record dividends to our shareholders. And we just sit here and take it. Hey, sucks to be you guys. You're the consumer. Hey, by the way, that third Ferrari that I just bought in my garage, it's freaking awesome. Hey, man.
It's awesome. Oh, boy.
And I mean, that's across the board. That ain't just RC. That's every freaking company out there right
You're
now.
right.
I'll call out another one, a freaking damn Pfizer. Rat bastards. Giving us your freaking vaccine cocktail crap. It's at no cost to you. Bullshit, it's at no cost to us. It cost us in our tax money. That's where it cost us.
Right.
Now we're only $31 trillion in debt. Oh my Lord.
Oh, let's go buy a backpack.
Yeah. Let's go buy a $47 backpack from Amazon and sell it for $150.
Mm-hmm. Or, we'll just buy some clips off Amazon and throw in a kit and sell it to you for at least double that.
Yeah. The soapbox came out. You know what? It's
gonna on this show, bro.
I mean, how many times in the last couple of weeks have you heard people talk about the price of eggs? The price of a dozen eggs has gone stupid. Now, the thing that nobody talks about is the fact that over the last 3 years, there's been probably over 24 food manufacturing plants that have burnt to the ground in this country. Just burnt to the ground for whatever reason. Nobody, and shit, supply chain. We run out of freaking chickens? Do we have a chicken pandemic? Is that the problem? Are we? Because the thing I realize is that, there's more people out there that own their own chickens now than ever before.
Mm-hmm.
So is it that you don't have enough eggs? You don't have enough chickens to supply enough eggs? Or is it that more people got wise to this crap and they're going out buying their own chickens, getting their eggs for free, and you bastards have been losing money, and the only way you can make up for it is to jack the prices up on your shit? I'm just saying.
How about $7 for a jar of mayonnaise? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, man. When it's costing us that much to live, how much should it cost us for our hobby? You know what I mean?
And this is not, we're not in a cheap hobby here.
No.
For all intents and purposes, we're kind of enjoying the luxury life here with our high-end RC cars.
So when I have someone who tells me that they love the RC community and that they want to support the RC community and they're just all about RC and helping their RC brothers, but they want to charge us an arm and a leg for a backpack, something doesn't sound right.
And
like, oh, I'm glad you're pocketing all that extra RC cash, bro.
And I'm all for capitalism. Hey, RC car. Good afternoon, my friend. I'm all for capitalism. If you have a niche and you find a niche business and you can be successful at it, then more power to you. Man, that's great. I'm glad that you found a way to make money. But as I've said before, it's time for everybody to start calling out the dishonesty, the hypocrisy. Let's be honest. Yeah, let's just be honest with people. Thompson, it's good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, stop saying that you just absolutely love us all and that you're going to help and support us all when really you're just out there trying to do your own thing too. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, you can be honest and say, hey, you know what? The RC community is great. I personally believe that a majority of the RC community is great. We have that, that common link between us, and it a lot of times you get that kind of family feel to it when you go places and you're hanging out with a bunch of RC people. Probably RC crawlers are probably the strongest of that community. Maybe the plane guys. I know plane guys are usually really tight, and but yeah, I mean I talk about the RC community as like the people like us, not, I am, Bob, the CEO of Horizon Hobbies. You're not a part of the RC community. Chances are you probably don't spend much time driving around an RC car at all. Yeah. You're a businessman. You're running a big company that makes billions of dollars, maybe not billions, maybe $1 billion, but you own a company that makes a lot of money. You generally don't have a lot of time to mix it up with the peasants down here on the ground. and that creates a disconnect kind of between the companies and the people. And there are some companies, give credit where credit is due, um, where there are guys that are actively out there playing with RC. I know Sharif likes playing with RC cars. You know, he'll go to an event and he'll drive around in his RC car. Now he will also run around in his side by side, and he enjoys his, having fun at the events. But he does drive around in an RC car. Whereas, like I said, I don't think the president of Horizon is probably busting out his crawler and going to Axial Fest for a weekend.
Well, yeah, but he's also not flying over the event in his own private plane either.
Hey, capitalism is a wonderful thing. If you can make enough money to have a private plane, I can't fault you for that. I can fault you for.
I'm not saying I'm jelly, but I might. I might be.
I mean,
wow. At $150 a servo, I know why now, huh?
Servo Club, my smallest city in UK. Hey, you know what? And that's the community part. That's the real RC community, is the people that go out and organize just a random get together with a bunch of people who want to hang out and RC together.
Right. And I feel like, touching on that subject, we talk about small RC. If you're going to help somebody, if you're going to donate money to somebody, if you're going to do something like this, if you want to help somebody help somebody you see every day.
Yeah.
Because those are the people that are going to have the biggest impact on your life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, definitely.
And I've talked about charities on another show before, and about how charitable organizations, and now in this day and age, it is very, very difficult to find honest charitable organizations that are not funneling tons of money into their own pockets, and it's part of the way the system is allowed to run at this point. But how many times have you heard about scandals with nonprofit organizations recently? It seems like you hear about it all the time. Nonprofit takes in millions and millions of dollars every year, and supposed to be going out to help community. And yet, when you ask around all these communities, and they're like, well, I haven't seen any help from those guys. Oops. Yeah. Only one with 100 miles of RC. Yeah.
I was out in the woods and I heard this sound. It was.
Yeah, but yeah, that and there is no charitable organization out there that shouldn't have a huge amount of scrutiny on it.
Well, I didn't want to dive off on that, but
well, I think it's something, it's one of those things that needs to be said.
Absolutely.
Because, when you're talking about some of the big ones, that there's, overhead and crap like, you talk about Red Cross, you talk about Salvation Army. They got thousands and thousands of people that work for them. It's a lot of overhead there. So if you're taking in millions of dollars, but you've got a ton of overhead, yeah, that's justifiable, because you got to pay all these people. You obviously can't have people working for your organization for free. Because if you got a bunch of people working for your organization for free, and you're taking in a whole bunch of donations, you are making out like a bandit at this point. And Red Cross, Salvation Army, they do get a lot of charity, volunteer workers and whatnot. Most of the guys that are out there at Christmas time with the bell and the thing, they're not getting paid anything. They're doing it out of the kindness of their heart. But there are other charitable organizations out there that, they have people that volunteer for them. They have very low overhead, and they may be taking in tens of thousands of dollars a year. They may be taking in tens of millions of dollars a year. And they really don't have to be transparent about it. They only have to be transparent to a certain degree. All right, Canada. Hey, Robert.
Yep.
Thank you, my friend. Good to see
evening.
you. We will see you next Wednesday. Hope you're staying warm up there. I know it's still freaking butt-ass cold in the Arctic right now. Hopefully things start warming up. But yeah, I mean, I think we talked about backpacks.
Yep, I think we talked. Yep.
And again, I think this is a subject that's going to come up time and time again, because there are charitable organizations in the RC community, and
well, I'm sure we'll touch on that sooner or later too.
Sooner or later. I know Justin and I both were a part of an organization that we are no longer a part of anymore, and I have not talked about them very much at all, other than the fact that I left, and I left it at that. At some point, we may dive a little bit deeper into, some of the more deeper reasons there. But again, that's one charitable organization amongst several in the RC community. We should be holding all of these people who take in money that we're giving money out of the goodness of our heart to help support whatever cause it is that you're fighting for. And we, as the people that are donating, expect that you're doing the right thing. And we have to be able to trust that you're doing the right thing. And more often than not lately, what we find out is a lot of organizations just aren't. Everybody loves a good cause. Everybody, come on, who doesn't want to help homeless people? Who doesn't want to help veterans? Who doesn't want to help people who have suffered in a national disaster? Who doesn't want to help that? Nobody's going to be like, hey, fuck those people. Sucks to be you. Because there actually probably are people out there, but they're assholes. So, and there are assholes all over the world. But a majority of people want, we have good hearts. We want to help.
Now, wait a minute. I'm an asshole. I just want to be clear on this.
Well, and most of us want to help. And it is demoralizing when you look at a charitable organization that you put money to, and I'll use the big one that's in the news all the time is BLM.
Yeah, Black
Lives Matter. Put money into this. These people took in $80 million in 1 year. And the reason why BLM got started was because of Michael Brown. Michael Brown was the guy that got shot by a police officer. It was the whole hands up, don't shoot thing. There was essentially the media lied about all of it. That was when BLM started. Now, BLM was sort of getting started before that when Trayvon Martin was killed.
Right.
And again, there was a whole bunch of shit that went on. And nobody knew the real story. And nobody knew what really happened because, A, we get lied to all the time. And then media and politicians and all these other freaking actors and shit people jump on board with it. And they just scream so loud they drown out the truth. Mm-hmm. But the original members of BLM started primarily because of Michael Brown. And I read a story about Michael Brown's father, that after BLM, they collecting tens of thousands of dollars, then hundreds of thousands of dollars, and millions of dollars. Michael Brown's father said he got $450 from him. And it was like, ooh, where's all that money going? What the hell are you guys doing? And then you hear the news stories that, their higher ups and the people running the thing are buying, mansions with property in Malibu. Now, I can tell you from my personal experience of living around the Malibu area that shit's expensive. You know, it ain't friggin' cheap. And, but again, you know, when they looked into it and they investigated, they found that technically they hadn't done anything wrong. You know, if you have a charity that takes in $80 million a year and you say, well, you know, the CEO of Pfizer makes $20 million a year being the CEO of Pfizer because he's running this multi-billion dollar company and he deserves to make that much money because he works his ass off or he lies his ass off and cheats people and stuff right there. But a charitable organization basically like, well, we took in $80 million, so why can't I pay myself a $5 million a year salary? Why can't I pay myself a $10 million a year salary? Look what I'm doing. I'm running this $80 million a year charity. So why can't I draw a salary at that point? And as long as it's within the percentage that the IRS allows as a 501c3 or a 501c2, as long as it allows it, you're technically not doing anything wrong.
Let's go, Brandon.
But like I said, you know, if you go out and buy a freaking 15-acre plot of land with a, you know, 6,000 square foot home in Malibu because you're making $5 million a year. Yeah.
This is when did I start getting paid for doing a good thing? That's what I'm saying. I mean, just because when did I have whatever? You already got me right there. I'm already furious. I mean, this.
Yeah, directly helping without involving a charity. Absolutely.
Kevin's got it right.
That is the nail on the head. That's exactly what I'm saying, and that's what Justin said earlier is if you know somebody that needs help, go to them and help them. Go to them directly and help them because that's the best way that
that's the biggest impact you can have. Yeah.
That's the, you know, that's the most influence that you're going to be able to have on that person. And Jesse Baker chainsaw, yes, Jesse Baker. That is,
yes, I love that.
I do own a Let's Go Brandon shirt. I have one. I wear it out in public all the time. I haven't worn it, but that is still one of my absolute favorite media moments in the last several years. Of they're chanting "Let's go, Brandon." Okay, yeah, that's what they're saying, honey. But yeah, you know that the charity thing to me, it just seems like with everything else that's going on, with all the, you know, we're being beaten to death with everything is divided and blah blah blah. Charity is just one of those things that it's gone to shit. You know, it just the freaking politicians and lawmakers and these peoples, they have turned everything into a money-making opportunity. And it's like enough already. You know, I was just telling my wife yesterday that there are things that are changing right now in society. And there's a whole bunch of people that are screaming, and they've been screaming, and they drown out everybody else because they just scream the loudest. But it's kind of we're getting to the point now where everybody else is going to start screaming, and it's going to drown out the little groups of voices that have been screaming because enough is enough.
Right.
NorCal, so backpacks.
I
honestly
got Rich a little wound up.
I have, and I'm gonna go. I'm off the soapbox. I'm gonna go back to backpacks because right there you can see my backpack. This is the backpack that I was carrying around before RC Carryall even came out with their first backpack. And this is primarily, it's a camera bag from a company called Low Pro. I paid way too much money for it. I know I paid way too much money for it because it was only slightly less expensive than the carry-all bag. But I've actually gone back to carrying this bag around because of its simplicity. I don't need 47 pockets. That is the other thing that drives me freaking crazy about a majority of the backpacks is they, for some reason, they think that you need to have 27 different zippered pouches on your backpack. That, hey, if you're going to be carrying around a pad of paper and a pencil, that should have its own pouch in your backpack. If you're going to be carrying around your handy dandy pocket size, roots and berries book, that needs to have its own pocket. Like, no, not everything.
I was out foraging.
There's a reason why, they're making everything teeny tiny, and it's all this ludicrous convenience, and it's not necessary anymore. It's just not. I don't need a backpack that has 47 pockets in it. This one has like 3 pockets. It's got a big pocket in the top that is basically just an open section, and inside of there it has a little zipper bag on one side and 2 little open pockets on the other side. Then there's a little divider, and then in the very bottom of it there's a side zipper where I can pull my camera gear bag out, because it is kind of tricky when you have camera stuff and RC stuff in the same backpack to keep your camera stuff from getting scratched and dinged and banged up, especially like ND filters and stuff like that. So I have a handy dandy little bag that all my camera stuff goes into, and it's kept separate in the bag.
These comments are great, you guys. I love this stuff.
I wear overalls every day. Give me pockets. I wear freaking cargo pants every day. I like pockets in my pants because I carry my pocket knife around, and I carry my wallet, and my eyeglass cleaner rag and my Carmex, and I typically will have my phone. So yeah, I like pockets in my pants, but I don't need that many pockets in my backpack, because what I'm thinking is I have to have something in that pocket. What's the point of having a pocket in there if I haven't put anything inside of it? And that's how I end up with 28 pounds of crap in my backpack. It's because I got to put everything in all the nooks and crannies. 2, I had 2 containers with screws in them. I don't know why I had 2. One wasn't enough.
In case you lost one?
Well, if you're
out there for 10 days,
you get out on the trail and you go to open up the first box of screws, and a bear comes out of the woods and scares the crap out of you, and your screws go all over the ground and you can't find them. Bam! I got a backup box of screws in my backpack. Because you got to be prepared for everything. The zombie apocalypse could happen while I'm out with my RC car. So I should have a foldable crossbow in there as well.
I mean, if you really want to go nuts, you've painted every head of every RC screw bright green too, so you can see it when it hits the dirt.
Yep.
That's oh boy.
I had a magnet.
Sure.
Obviously, you drop stuff on the ground. Do you know how much the magnet weighed that I carried around?
It was 5 pounds you carry around.
It wasn't quite 5 pounds, but it was 1.7 pounds of magnet. I had a pound of batteries, AA and AAA batteries, a pound of batteries. So the main controller that I normally use with almost all my rigs, with the exception of like 2, is my Futaba that has a rechargeable life pack in it. So I don't even need AA batteries for that, because I also carried around a spare battery for that in my backpack as well, because just in case, the battery that lasts for like 3 months in my controller just might go dead on that one particular day. I've got to have a fully charged battery in my backpack, which is a great idea.
I love it. Like I said, these comments are great. You guys are cracking me up over here. Yep. I don't think you're gonna fit that in a backpack, Kevin. That was my.
You found for your trolley. Yeah, the whole point of today's show was just, the kind of ridiculousness that has become RC backpacks. And I think,
these influencers, these people who are, trying to sell us these things. Like you said, we look at these people and we're like, oh, this is awesome. This is great stuff. But are we really thinking about what we're buying at the moment? Or are we just like, oh, it's RC, I got to have it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and when you start to actually, like I said, when you start to actually look at the backpack itself, or look at who's selling it for that matter, you start to realize, well, maybe I could spend my money somewhere else. We're forking out tons of dollars, like you said, for this hobby.
Yeah.
This hobby is not cheap. So
the average price of your 10th scale crawler right now is gonna at least $500.
You don't need to carry that on your back. You can just ride it.
Yeah.
You just ride it around.
Yeah, Kevin, it is infomercial, and it's, I don't want to bash, all the YouTubers out there who are trying to make a buck doing the YouTube thing. Look, if I could have a YouTube channel and it grew and I could have YouTube mansion and 3 Ferraris in the garage and whatnot, well, I mean, I probably wouldn't complain about it. But
sell out.
It's no matter who you are, if you're going to make it to that level in YouTube, you're gonna have to talking stuff that you may not be 100% on board with. I see it all the time. When a new rig comes out, there's the handful of RC YouTube channels that always get the pre-release, so they get to hang out with this new RC rig for a couple of weeks until they're allowed to make a video of it or allowed to release the video of it. And typically what you will hear is the same thing from all those different channels, almost like it was scripted from, the company that sent you that thing for free. Like, hey, here's all the good points to talk about. Now you can mention something that might be a negative, but don't go too heavy on the negative, because we are trying to run a business here. We're trying to sell RC cars. And, if an influencer who gets a bunch of free stuff wants to keep getting free stuff, he's not going to be able to say, okay, you know what? I got this thing for free. It's sent to me, and it's a complete and utter piece of garbage. That company's never going to send you another thing again.
Right.
Ever. And there goes your YouTube mansion and your 3 Ferraris in the garage. Bye.
Damn it.
That's kind of the way it is. Durable enough. LA Police Gear does, they do have some pretty good stuff. I actually have a pair of tactical cargo pants from them that are quite nice. I have worn them when I'm out hiking a bunch of times because they don't tear. They're strong, and I do like to run around in bushes and stuff and make a mess out of things. Kevin, I'm not sure
we have enough time to touch on the RC Sparks in this episode.
I did talk about RC Sparks a couple shows ago. I know that he's fairly adamant that he buys all his stuff. Which I honestly believe he does. I mean, that guy has obviously made enough money in YouTube, where he probably afford to spend, tens of thousands of dollars buying RC products. But yeah, I don't recall him ever hawking stuff. I know he would have something and he would say, yeah, this thing is great, I like it, but he wasn't, oh, click the link in the description down below to make sure that you go to the specific place to buy it so that I get my cut. Hey, guilty as charged. I have links in all my videos because I do have an Amazon affiliate thing. And honestly, I can tell you right now how much money I made in 2022 from my Amazon affiliate links. $20.47.
Woo! You got that down payment on a $150 backpack.
Yeah. $20.47. That was my cut of all the things that people clicked on in the links. And Amazon is an even trickier one, because once somebody clicks on your link and goes to Amazon, anything that they buy for the next 24 hours, I would get my cut of that. So Amazon has even more special deals. So the fact that I was only able to manage $20.47 out of my Amazon affiliate links tells you that is not a prime way to get yourself into your YouTube mansion.
Right.
I have seen so many people that make videos on how to grow your YouTube channel, how to do this, and the first thing you got to do is you got to get them affiliate sponsor links. Yep. If you get 4,000 different affiliate companies and sponsors and links to put in your videos, you might be able to make yourself a couple extra $1,000 a year if you're lucky. Jeff Bezos ain't making money and building spaceships because he's forking out commission money to YouTubers all over the place. And thank you very much, Mr. Gibbs. Yes, I do have stuff on Teespring. I think my Teespring store is still active. There, it doesn't, I don't really push, the stuff very much. I haven't for a while. I know I used to mention in every single video, click the links, blah, 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 but, kind of feels dirty after a while. But I know I mentioned a couple shows ago about, I made my second $100 from YouTube in December.
Woohoo!
So after 4 years, I've made like $200 on my YouTube channel, which is, I'm on my way. In about 50 or 60 years, I might make enough money to buy a brand new Toyota Corolla.
Geo Metro, if you like.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the influencer part of everything in this world has gotten stupid.
Big money. Yeah, you got it right.
They're just, everybody out there wants to be a Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever star, and they're literally selling themselves out in order to make all this, silly money and get free products and crap. And I've never been.
You samurai. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll buy a used samurai any day. How much? What do we got? What are we talking about?
Yeah. I sat in the shed in the garden, so sometimes I get that dreaded circle. Yeah, obviously RC is no different with influencers and people who are doing their best to try and, make a go of it at being successful on YouTube. And me personally, YouTube is kind of my creative outlet. It lets me do something that I enjoy doing. I like playing with my RC cars. I like filming RC cars. And I know it's probably 50-50 in the level of enjoyment. I enjoy making the videos and editing and all of that almost as much as I enjoy driving the actual RC cars around themselves.
Can you believe we're an hour and a half into this?
I can, because I have known from previous shows that I've looked up at that clock and seen it at 2 hours and been like, oh my God, 2 hours. So yeah, I think today we'll let it go for another 5 minutes of show. We'll do an hour and a half for the first show because it is the first episode.
I'm hanging out, man.
It's
We're
special.
just having fun.
And I also do actually have some work that I have to do. At some point, I have to finish it today.
It's a 4-letter word you're talking about right there.
It's the it is kind of the drawbacks of doing the show on Wednesday at noon because it is the middle of the week and there is.
Yeah, we chose the best slot time for our show.
Yeah, well, and it is the best time because we got people who are adults. We don't generally have to worry about the kids getting feisty or offended because somebody drops an F-bomb here and there. And it's also just a nice time, middle of the week, to just, take an hour and a half break, just hang out and talk about whatever.
Right.
It's nice to have that. I have thoroughly enjoyed doing the show. I am thoroughly going to enjoy continuing to do the show. And now it's even better because I actually have somebody that I'm talking to and not just talking to the chat. Talking to the chat is great. Don't get me wrong, but it is nice to have a person, another person. Roadside.
Hey.
Roadside, good to see you, man. Fellow Tennessean.
Yeah.
Roadside is. It's always nice to.
I'm sure it'll grow, Kevin. But do we want more people to start watching?
Yes, because we do. Okay.
Yes,
we are. I know that Justin and I have talked about it. That at some point we're going to be diving into subjects where we're going to offend people, because, and even Justin and I. Amongst each other, we don't agree on everything, but the fact is that we're doing this show so that we can all talk about things that maybe we don't agree on, but we can start sharing with the rest of the freaking world that it doesn't have to be somebody screaming at the top of their lungs and drowning everyone out and not listening to them because I'm right and you all are wrong, and I'm not going to listen to any of you. We need to get back to a point where we can talk about things and
have a healthy debate, have a healthy, saying, like, be able to say the shit that needs to be said to each other and still be friends about it.
Yes. Thank you, NorCal. The shit that needs to be said show. That's what it's about is, why can't we offend people? Why can't we say something that, first and foremost, maybe we say something that might offend you, but for 5 other people that are watching the show, it might be something that, sparks them asking a question, opening up, the thought process of, hey, maybe I have been thinking about backpacks all wrong, and freaking Rich is right. Carrying around 28 pounds is, kind of freaking silly.
Especially when you're only going to be 30 minutes from your car.
Yeah. Yeah, Kevin, I know it's, offended is something that gets thrown around so much nowadays that everybody gets offended by everything. But we should be able to ask questions. We should be able to sit here and say, yeah, you know what? RC backpacks are kind of it's a gimmick.
Yeah.
And it's if you want to go out and buy one because you like the gimmick of it, then
fine.
Great.
I got no problem I got no problem with you if you want to go buy a whatever backpack. That's fine. Yep.
But if there's going to be a bunch of people that are going to go back and watch this show and start commenting and post comments in here about, how can you say something bad about this company? Ah, chances are I'm probably going to laugh at your comment, because that's what this show is for. It's supposed to be questioning, food for thought, opening up discussion to be able to say, hey, is this really the way things ought to be? Or maybe, maybe it's a bunch of BS and we don't need to put up with this crap anymore. And as consumers, we hold a lot of power. Wait, I'm spitting on myself. We hold a lot of power. The power of the checkbook, I think, is coming back to the people. Just saying what a lot of us are thinking. Yep. And you're right, Jesse. We should be able to offend people. It is my God-given right to be able to say crap that offends people. That's why we have the Constitution of the United States of America that says freedom of speech, right to bear arms, free press, free religion. We're supposed to be free. We're supposed to be able to say whatever we want. So that's the shit that needs to be said. So, I think that's gonna wrap up episode number 1. Thank you everybody for coming in and watching the show. Thank you to my co-host, Mr. Justin Brown. I look forward to episode number 2. I think Justin and I are at some point between now and next Wednesday, we're going to talk and figure out what topic is going to be, or at least the topic that we're going to start talking about.
And if you'd like to talk about it, or like to have us talk about a topic, drop it in the comments.
Absolutely.
And we'll try to catch up on everything if we can, or if.
And again, it's open to anything. It doesn't just have to be RC. If there's something that is bugging you and you think it would be a good topic to talk about, then let's freaking talk about it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Thompson. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, NorCal, Kevin Gibbs, JM, Roadside. I'm not going to be able to catch everybody. Andy Mullins. Thank you all for being here. And yeah,
the chat made my day. You guys crack me up.
Yes, you too as well, Mr. Gibbs. Have a great rest of the week. And let's do this again next Wednesday at noon.
Got it.
All right. Take care, everybody. We will see you next Wednesday.